Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the sandaled feet of the most powerful rulers in human history, the Pharaohs of ancient Egypt. Picture this. You're waking up in a palace that makes Versailles look like a modest cottage, surrounded by servants who believe you're literally a god walking among mortals. The morning sun streams through windows of crystal and alabaster, casting golden light across walls painted with scenes of your divine ancestors. You're not just rich, you're so wealthy that you own entire nations. And your morning routine includes being dressed by people who would die for the privilege. You probably won't survive the political intrigue that comes with absolute power. But hey, at least you'll die in style. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment letting me know where you're listening from and what time it is. I love seeing our global bedtime community. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You stir in your bed of ebony and gold, the finest linen sheets softer than anything a commoner could imagine. Your bed isn't just furniture, it's a work of art, with legs carved like lion's paws and a headboard depicting your divine journey through the underworld. The mattress is stuffed with the down of exotic birds and fragrant herbs that ward off nightmares. As consciousness slowly returns, you become aware of the gentle sound of palm fronds rustling in the morning breeze, carefully orchestrated by servants who have positioned fans throughout your chamber. Your bedroom is a testament to divine luxury. The walls are covered in gold leaf, so pure it seems to glow with its own inner light. Precious stones from across the known world, lapis lazuli from Afghanistan, emeralds from the Red Sea hills, silver from Asia Minor, create intricate patterns that tell the story of your reign. The ceiling is painted deep blue with real gold stars, representing the night sky where your soul will journey after death. Historians still argue whether some pharaohs actually slept in different rooms each night for security. But the archaeological evidence suggests your main chamber was both fortress and sanctuary. The first person you see each morning is your personal body servant, who's been waiting silently for hours for any sign of your awakening. They've been trained from childhood in the precise rituals of serving a god-king, and they approach your bed with the reverence of a priest approaching an altar. The morning air carries the scent of frankincense and myrrh, burning constantly in braziers throughout the palace. These aren't just pleasant smells, they're incredibly expensive imports that demonstrate your wealth to anyone who enters your presence. Your awakening isn't just personal, it's a cosmic event. In the minds of your subjects, when you wake, the sun god Ra begins his daily journey across the sky. Your first breath of the day is believed to give life to the entire kingdom. No pressure, right? The servants move with practiced silence, their bare feet making no sound on the polished stone floors. They've learned that disturbing your sleep prematurely could mean death, so they wait for your natural rhythms to bring you back to the world of the living. As you stretch in your divine bed, you're already planning the day ahead. There are temples to visit, nobles to intimidate, empire to run. Your morning routine will take hours, involving dozens of servants and rituals that have been performed for centuries. The weight of the double crown, representing your dominion over both Upper and Lower Egypt, isn't just ceremonial. It's a reminder that you hold the lives of millions in your hands. But first, you need to transform from a sleepy human into a living god. And that process is about to begin. You swing your legs over the side of your magnificent bed, and immediately a servant appears with golden sandals, each one worth more than most people's entire possessions. The leather is softer than silk, dyed with rare purple extracted from thousands of murex shells. The soles are embedded with precious stones that create a subtle rainbow with each step. Your feet never touch the ground directly. That would be beneath your divine status. Even the act of standing requires ceremony when you're considered a living god. The procession to your private bath chamber begins with the gentle chiming of silver bells, alerting the entire palace that the pharaoh is awake. Your bathroom puts modern luxury to shame. Imagine a pool carved from a single piece of pink granite, filled with water that's been transported from the sacred Nile, and heated to the perfect temperature by servants who have spent years mastering this single task. The water contains milk from gazelles, honey from the finest hives, and oils that smell like paradise. Rose petals float on the surface, and the entire room is lit by dozens of oil lamps that cast dancing shadows on walls decorated with scenes of your divine birth. Your bath attendants are young men and women chosen for their beauty and trained in the sacred arts of purification. They don't just wash your body, they perform a religious ritual that prepares your mortal form to house your divine soul. The soap is made from ingredients that would bankrupt a small city: pulverized pearls for exfoliation, frankincense for spiritual cleansing, and rare minerals that supposedly maintain your immortal youth. Historians still argue whether pharaohs actually believed in their own divinity or if it was purely political theater. But the elaborate morning rituals suggest genuine spiritual conviction. The water temperature is tested multiple times too hot, and you might be scalded; too cool, and you might catch a chill that could kill you in an era before modern medicine. Your bath attendants have studied your preferences for years, noting exactly how you like the water, which oils you prefer on different days, and even which direction you like to face while soaking. They're essentially human thermostats with the added responsibility of keeping a god happy. After your bath, you're dried with towels made from the finest linen, so soft they feel like clouds against your skin. The drying process is another ritual, specific patterns and movements that honor the gods and prepare your body for the day ahead. Your skin is then anointed with oils that cost more than most people's annual income. These aren't just cosmetics, they're medicine, perfume, and religious sacrament, all in one. The oils are believed to maintain your divine essence and protect you from the evil eye of jealous mortals. Your morning grooming routine would make a modern spa day look rushed. A skilled cosmetician applies kohl around your eyes, not just for appearance, but to protect against the harsh desert sun and ward off infections. The kohl is made from ground minerals and antimony, creating that distinctive Egyptian eye makeup that's both practical and divine. Your fingernails are cleaned, buffed, and sometimes painted with henna. Even your toenails receive attention, because every part of your body must be perfect for your divine duties. The final step of your morning purification is the application of fragrant oils to your hair and beard. These scents aren't just pleasant, they're status symbols. The rarer the flower, the more exotic the spice, the more divine your essence becomes. Your hair is then styled by servants who have devoted their lives to the art of royal coiffure. They know exactly how to arrange each strand to complement the day's crown or headdress. By the time your morning rituals are complete, you're no longer just a person, you're a living work of art, ready to face your subjects as their god on earth. Your morning meal isn't just breakfast, it's a carefully orchestrated display of power that would make modern billionaires weep with envy. You enter your private dining chamber, where the table is set with dishes made from pure gold and silver, each piece crafted by master artisans who spent months perfecting every detail. The plates are often decorated with scenes of your victories, and the cups are embedded with gems that catch the morning light like trapped stars. Your chair isn't just seating, it's a throne, with armrests carved to look like protective deities, and a back that displays your royal cartouche. The menu for your breakfast reads like a fantasy novel. Fresh bread made from the finest wheat, still warm from ovens that burned all night to ensure perfect timing. The bread is shaped into sacred symbols, ankhs for life, jed pillars for stability, and lotus flowers for rebirth. Your butter is churned from the milk of cows that graze in the most fertile parts of the Nile Delta, and it's been flavored with honey that tastes like liquid gold. The fruit selection includes dates from the finest palm trees, figs so ripe they practically dissolve on your tongue, and grapes that have been individually inspected for perfection. But the real showstoppers are the exotic delicacies that demonstrate your global reach. Peacock eggs from Nubia, their shells carefully cracked to preserve the perfect oval shape. Meat from gazelles that were hunted in the eastern desert, prepared with spices that traveled thousands of miles to reach your plate. Fish from the Red Sea, so fresh they were swimming yesterday, prepared with herbs that grow only in the palace gardens. Your breakfast could feed a small village for a week, but it's all for you because you're worth an entire civilization's labor. The serving process is as elaborate as the food itself. Each dish is presented by a different servant who approaches your table with the reverence of a priest offering sacrifice to the gods. They announce each course as if it's a diplomatic gift from distant lands, because in many ways it is. The wine, yes, you drink wine for breakfast, because you're a pharaoh and Yucan comes from vineyards that produce exclusively for the royal table. The vintage is older than most of your subjects, stored in jars, sealed with your personal mark. Your food taster sits nearby, a reminder that even divine kings face mortal dangers. This poor soul tries every dish before you, waiting the prescribed amount of time to to ensure no poison takes effect. Historians still argue whether food poisoning was a real threat, or if the tasting ritual was purely ceremonial, but the position of royal food taster was considered both an honor and a death sentence. The irony isn't lost on anyone. The person closest to your divine food is also the most likely to die from it. Between courses, you're entertained by musicians who play harps and flutes while you eat. The music isn't random. It's been composed specifically for your breakfast, with different melodies for different foods. The harpists have studied your preferences, knowing exactly which rhythms help your digestion and which notes please your divine ears. Sometimes acrobats perform between the serving tables, their movements as graceful as dancers, adding visual art to your culinary experience. Your breakfast conversation partners are carefully selected members of your court, people important enough to deserve your attention, but not so important that they might challenge your authority. They update you on the night's events, share gossip from the palace, and sometimes present minor problems that need your divine wisdom. Even your morning small talk is an act of governance, because when you're a pharaoh, every word carries the weight of royal decree. As your breakfast concludes, servants appear with golden finger bowls filled with rosewater and floating jasmine petals. You wash your hands with the same ceremony that began the meal, and your lips are dabbed with linen, so fine it's almost transparent. The entire breakfast has taken nearly 2 hours, but that's appropriate. Gods don't rush their meals, and your morning feast has prepared you for the divine duties that await. You rise from your breakfast table and immediately enter the most dangerous part of your day, navigating the treacherous waters of court politics. Your throne room is a masterpiece of psychological warfare, designed to intimidate and inspire awe in equal measure. The ceiling towers 40 feet above your head, supported by columns carved to look like massive lotus flowers. The walls are covered in hieroglyphic texts that tell the story of your divine ancestry, but they also serve as subtle reminders to your visitors that you come from a long line of gods who don't tolerate disrespect. Your throne isn't just a chair, it's a weapon of mass impression. Carved from a single piece of black granite and inlaid with gold, it sits on a platform that raises you above everyone else in the room. The armrests are shaped like protective lions, and the back displays the united crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt. When you sit on this throne, you're not just taking a seat, you're claiming your place as the living embodiment of divine power. The psychological effect on your visitors is immediate and intentional. They literally have to look up to you, reinforcing the hierarchy that keeps your kingdom stable. The morning's first visitors are your highest-ranking nobles, men who control vast territories and command thousands of soldiers. They approach your throne with carefully choreographed movements, bowing at precisely the right moments and speaking only when given permission. These aren't just social courtesies, they're survival tactics. One wrong gesture, one poorly chosen word, and they could find themselves stripped of their lands, or worse. The tension in the room is palpable, despite the pleasant morning light streaming through the high windows. Your vizier essentially your prime minister, presents the day's agenda with the smooth efficiency of someone who survived decades of palace intrigue. He's a master of diplomatic language, able to present potentially catastrophic problems in terms that won't upset your divine sensibilities. When he mentions minor disturbances in the southern provinces, you both know he's talking about rebellions that could threaten your reign. When he refers to administrative adjustments in the tax system, you understand that your people are on the verge of revolt. The art of royal communication is all about saying dangerous things in safe ways. The most fascinating part of your morning court is watching the intricate dance of alliances and rivalries among your nobles. These men smile at each other while mentally calculating how to destroy their rivals. They offer compliments that are really insults, and they propose solutions that are actually traps. Historians still argue whether Egyptian court politics were more or less brutal than other ancient civilizations, but the evidence suggests that your nobles were master manipulators who made Machiavelli look like an amateur. Your high priest arrives with the morning's religious reports, and his news is always a mixture of spiritual guidance and political maneuvering. The gods have spoken through various omens, a hawk flying in a particular direction, the pattern of oil on water, the behavior of the sacred cats in the temple. But you know these divine messages are often influenced by very human concerns about temple funding, priestly privileges, and religious authority. The priest's ability to interpret divine will in ways that support your political goals is one of his most valuable skills. The morning's petitioners include local governors, military commanders, and wealthy merchants, all seeking your favor for their various projects. A governor requests permission to build a new irrigation canal, but you recognize this as a bid for increased power in his region. A military commander proposes a campaign against Nubian tribes, but you suspect he's more interested in the glory and loot than in protecting Egypt's borders. A merchant offers tribute from distant lands, but you know he's hoping for exclusive trading rights that would make him fabulously wealthy. Your responses to these requests are carefully calculated pieces of political theater. You grant some favors to maintain loyalty, deny others to prevent any single person from becoming too powerful, and postpone decisions when you need more information. Every word you speak is analyzed and remembered, because your casual comments can become royal policy. The weight of this responsibility is exhausting, but it's also intoxicating. You're playing a game where the stakes are entire civilizations, and you're winning. You transition from the public theater of court to the private reality of ruling an empire, and the shift is jarring. Your administrative chamber is quieter than the throne room, but no less impressive, with walls covered in maps that show the extent of your domain. These aren't just decorative, they're working documents marked with troop movements, trade routes, and the locations of potential threats. Your empire stretches from the Mediterranean to the cataracts of the Nile, and every inch of it requires your attention. Your morning briefing begins with reports from your network of spies and informants, people who risk their lives to bring you information that could save your kingdom. The reports are written on papyrus in coded language that only you and your most trusted advisors can understand. A successful harvest in Memphis might mean that a potential rebellion has been crushed. A wedding celebration in Thebes could indicate that a diplomatic alliance has been secured. Your spy network is so extensive that you probably know what your enemies had for breakfast. But the information comes at a cost. Maintaining this intelligence operation requires enormous resources and absolute loyalty. The economic reports are equally complex and far more boring, but they're crucial to your survival. Your scribes present detailed accounts of tax collection, trade revenues, and military expenses, all written in neat hieroglyphic columns that would make modern accountants weep with envy. The numbers tell the story of your empire's health. Are the provinces producing enough grain to feed your armies? Are the gold mines in Nubia still profitable? Are the trade routes secure enough to generate the wealth you need to maintain your divine lifestyle? Your construction projects require constant attention, and the reports from your architects and engineers are both exciting and terrifying. The pyramid complex that will house your eternal remains is progressing on schedule, but the costs are astronomical. Every day of construction requires thousands of workers, tons of stone, and resources that could otherwise be used to strengthen your military or improve your people's lives. Historians still argue whether pharaohs bankrupted their kingdoms, building monuments to their own egos. But the evidence suggests that some rulers pushed their economies to the breaking point in pursuit of eternal glory. The military reports are the most critical because your divine authority ultimately depends on your ability to project power. Your generals present updates on troop strength, fortification construction, and potential threats from neighboring kingdoms. The Hittites are mobilizing forces near your northern borders. The Nubians are raiding trade caravans in the south, and the sea peoples are causing chaos along your Mediterranean coast. Each threat requires a different response, and the wrong decision could cost you your kingdom. Your judicial responsibilities are perhaps the most challenging aspect of your administrative duties. As Pharaoh, you're the final arbiter of justice, and the cases that reach your attention are usually the most complex and politically sensitive. A dispute between two powerful nobles over water rights could affect agricultural production for entire regions. A criminal case involving a high-ranking priest could impact your relationship with the religious establishment. A trade disagreement with foreign merchants could influence your diplomatic relations with other kingdoms. The correspondence from other rulers provides fascinating insights into international relations in the ancient world. The Hittite king addresses you as brother, while threatening war if you don't return escaped slaves. The Assyrian emperor sends gifts while requesting military support against his enemies. The king of Punt offers exotic trade goods while asking for protection against raiders. Each letter is a delicate dance of diplomacy, where every word could be interpreted as either friendship or insult. Your afternoon administrative work includes reviewing and approving numerous construction projects, military appointments, and trade agreements. Your seal, a small piece of carved stone that represents your divine authority, is pressed into soft clay dozens of times each day, authorizing decisions that will affect thousands of lives. The responsibility is overwhelming, but it's also intoxicating. With a single gesture, you can build cities, destroy enemies, and shape the future of human civilization. As the administrative responsibilities of the morning wind down, you prepare for the afternoon's entertainment, royal hunts that combine sport, politics, and barely controlled violence. Your hunting expeditions aren't just recreational. They're carefully orchestrated displays of power that demonstrate your divine ability to dominate the natural world. The preparations alone require dozens of servants, professional hunters, and elaborate equipment that costs more than most people's annual income. Your hunting chariot is a masterpiece of engineering and artistry, built from the finest cedar wood and decorated with gold leaf that gleams in the afternoon sun. The wheels are reinforced with bronze, and the platform is designed to provide stability while allowing maximum mobility during the chase. Your horses are magnificent creatures, bred specifically for royal hunts and trained to respond to your slightest command. They're not just transportation, they're extensions of your divine will, carrying you across the desert like a god riding the wind. Hunting grounds stretch across vast areas of the desert, and your prey includes some of the most dangerous animals in the ancient world. Lions, leopards, and wild bulls roam these lands, and hunting them requires genuine skill and considerable courage. Your bow is a work of art, crafted from horn and sinew, and decorated with precious metals. The arrows are tipped with bronze points that can penetrate thick hides, and each one is individually crafted by master weaponsmiths. When you draw your bow, you're not just aiming at an animal, you're demonstrating your divine power over life and death. The hunt begins with elaborate ceremonies that honor the gods and ensure your safety. Priests burn incense and chant prayers while you prepare your weapons and check your equipment. Your hunting companions, carefully selected nobles and military officers, watch with a mixture of admiration and terror. They know that hunting with a pharaoh is both an honor and a death sentence if something goes wrong. If you're injured during the hunt, they'll be held responsible, and the consequences could be fatal. Your first target is a magnificent lion, its mane flowing like gold in the desert wind. The beast is cornered by your beaters, skilled hunters, who have spent days tracking the animal and driving it toward your waiting bow. The lion is dangerous, even when cornered, capable of killing a man with a single swipe of its claws. But you're not just any man, you're a pharaoh, and your divine nature protects you from mortal dangers. Or at least, that's the theory. In reality, hunting lions is incredibly dangerous, and several pharaohs died during these expeditions. The moment of the kill is both thrilling and terrifying. Your arrow flies true, striking the lion in the heart and dropping it instantly. The beast's death roar echoes across the desert, and your hunting companions cheer with genuine relief. You've not only killed a dangerous predator, you've demonstrated your divine power over the forces of chaos that threaten your kingdom. The lion's death is symbolic of your ability to destroy your enemies and protect your people. Historians still argue whether pharaohs actually participated in these dangerous hunts, or if they were primarily ceremonial affairs with minimal real risk. The evidence suggests that some rulers were genuinely skilled hunters who took significant risks, while others preferred safer, more choreographed expeditions. Either way, the hunts served important political functions by demonstrating royal courage and providing opportunities for bonding with important nobles and military leaders. Your afternoon also includes other royal games and entertainments. Wrestling matches between skilled athletes provide dramatic entertainment while demonstrating the physical prowess of your court. Board games like Senate aren't just pastimes. They're believed to have religious significance, representing the journey of the soul through the afterlife. Your game pieces are carved from ivory and precious stones, and every move is watched by courtiers who analyze your strategy for insights into your divine wisdom. The hunts conclude with elaborate feasts where the game you've killed is prepared and served to your hunting companions. The meat is cooked with rare spices and served on golden plates, transforming your violent afternoon into a celebration of your divine power. The stories of your hunting prowess will be told and retold throughout the kingdom, growing more impressive with each telling until they become legends of your godlike abilities. As the hunting excitement fades, you return to your palace for an afternoon of luxury that would make modern spa treatments look primitive. Your private chambers are transformed into a temple of indulgence, where every comfort known to the ancient world is available at your command. The afternoon sun filters through windows of crystal and alabaster, casting a warm glow across rooms filled with the most beautiful objects human hands can create. Your first stop is the Royal Beauty Chamber, where specialists in cosmetics and personal care wait to restore your divine appearance after the dusty exertions of the hunt. The room is filled with precious substances that have traveled thousands of miles to reach your palace: coal from the distant mountains, perfumes from the Arabian coast, and oils from trees that grow only in the most sacred groves. Your cosmeticians are artists who have spent years perfecting their craft, able to enhance your natural features in ways that emphasize your divine nature. The afternoon massage is a religious experience that combines physical relaxation with spiritual renewal. Your massage therapists use techniques that have been passed down through generations of royal servants, applying oils that smell like paradise and cost more than most people's homes. The massage table is carved from a single piece of sandalwood and inlaid with precious stones that are believed to have healing properties. As skilled hands work to relieve the tensions of ruling an empire, you feel the stress of divine responsibility slowly melting away. Your afternoon entertainment includes performances by the finest artists in the ancient world. Musicians play instruments that have been crafted specifically for your enjoyment: harps with strings of silver, flutes carved from rare woods, and drums that produce sounds like distant thunder. The melodies are composed exclusively for your ears, and the musicians have studied your preferences so thoroughly that they can predict your moods and adjust their performances accordingly. Sometimes dancers perform between the musical interludes, their movements as graceful as flowing water and as precise as religious ritual. The afternoon also includes intellectual entertainments that demonstrate your divine wisdom. Court scholars present new literary works, philosophical treatises, and scientific discoveries for your consideration. These aren't just academic exercises, they're opportunities for you to display your godlike intelligence and make decisions that will influence the kingdom's cultural development. Your comments on these works become royal policy, and your casual observations can launch entire schools of thought. Your private art collection requires daily attention, and the afternoon is the perfect time to examine new acquisitions and plan future purchases. The objects in your collection aren't just beautiful, they're repositories of divine power and symbols of your cosmic authority. Statues carved from rare stones, jewelry embedded with gems that catch light like trapped stars, and paintings that seem to glow with their own inner fire. Each piece has been selected not just for its beauty, but for its ability to reflect your divine nature. Historians still argue whether pharaohs genuinely appreciated art, or if their collections were purely status symbols. But the evidence suggests that some rulers were genuinely sophisticated connoisseurs who understood the deeper meanings of the objects they collected. Your art isn't just decoration, it's a form of communication with the gods, a way of surrounding yourself with divine beauty that reinforces your cosmic role. Your afternoon correspondence includes letters from artists, scholars, and craftsmen throughout the kingdom, all seeking your patronage and approval. A sculptor proposes a new statue for your tomb complex. An architect suggests improvements to the palace gardens, and a jeweler offers to create a crown that will surpass all previous royal regalia. Your decisions on these matters will influence the kingdom's artistic development for generations, making your afternoon relaxation an act of cultural governance. The afternoon concludes with a private ritual that prepares you for the evening's public appearances. Priests perform ceremonies that renew your divine essence and protect you from the evil influences that might threaten your cosmic role. Incense burns in golden braziers, and sacred oils are applied to your skin while prayers are chanted in ancient languages. By the time these rituals are complete, you're no longer just a person who's had a pleasant afternoon. You're a god who's been refreshed and renewed for the divine duties that await. Your late afternoon is devoted to the most important construction project in human history, your eternal tomb complex that will house your divine remains for all eternity. The pyramid rising from the desert sands isn't just a building, it's a machine for achieving immortality, designed with mathematical precision and astronomical alignments that connect your soul to the cosmos. Walking through the construction site is like visiting the eighth wonder of the world while it's still being built. The scale of your pyramid project is almost incomprehensible. Thousands of workers swarm across the construction site like ants, each one playing a crucial role in creating your eternal monument. The limestone blocks being hauled up massive ramps weigh several tons each, and they've been quarried from sites dozens of miles away. The logistics of moving these stones would challenge modern engineering, but your ancient architects have solved problems that would stump contemporary builders. The precision of their work is astounding. Joints between stones are so tight that you can't slip a knife blade between them. Your pyramid isn't just a tomb, it's a complex of buildings that includes temples, smaller pyramids for your queens, and elaborate underground chambers that serve as storage for your burial treasures. The entire complex is designed according to religious principles that ensure your successful journey to the afterlife. The entrance passages are aligned with specific stars. The internal chambers are positioned to catch the light of the sun at crucial moments, and the whole structure is oriented to the cardinal directions with an accuracy that modern surveyors would envy. The interior of your pyramid is even more impressive than the exterior. The burial chamber is carved from solid granite and polished to mirror brightness, creating a space that seems to glow with its own inner light. The walls are covered with hieroglyphic texts that tell the story of your divine journey through the underworld, providing a roadmap for your soul's navigation through the dangers of death. These aren't just decorative, they're magical spells that will protect and guide you through eternity. Your treasure chambers are filling with objects that represent the pinnacle of ancient craftsmanship. Golden jewelry that weighs more than most people's annual wages, furniture carved from rare woods and inlaid with precious stones, and religious objects that have been blessed by the highest priests in the kingdom. Each item has been selected not just for its beauty, but for its magical properties, ensuring that your afterlife will be as luxurious as your earthly existence. The construction workforce includes not just laborers, but master craftsmen who have devoted their lives to perfecting their skills. Stone carvers create hieroglyphic texts with the precision of modern computer printers. Metalworkers forge golden objects that seem to glow with divine light, and artists paint murals that bring the walls to life with scenes of your eternal journey. These workers aren't slaves, they're skilled professionals who take pride in their contribution to your immortal monument. Your pyramid's construction is also a massive economic undertaking that affects the entire kingdom. The project requires enormous quantities of raw materials, skilled labor, and organizational expertise. Stone quarries operate at full capacity. Copper mines produce the tools needed for construction, and farms throughout the kingdom provide food for the workers. Historians still argue whether pyramid construction strengthened or weakened ancient Egypt's economy, but the evidence suggests that these projects were both massive investments and important sources of employment. Religious significance of your pyramid construction extends far beyond your personal immortality. The building process is itself a religious ritual, with ceremonies marking each phase of construction and offerings made to ensure the gods' approval. The workers participate in these rituals, making them part of your divine journey rather than just employees. The pyramid isn't just being built, it's that's being prayed into existence by thousands of people who believe in your divinity. Your evening inspection of the construction site is a moment of both pride and anxiety. The monument rising from the desert sands will preserve your name for millennia, but it also represents an enormous gamble. If the construction fails, if the religious formulas are wrong, if the astronomical alignments are imperfect, your journey to the afterlife could be compromised. The responsibility is overwhelming, but the potential reward, true immortality, makes every risk worthwhile. As the sun begins its descent toward the western horizon, you prepare for the evening's grand banquet, an event that transforms your palace into a wonderland of culinary artistry and social theater. Your banquet hall is a marvel of ancient engineering, capable of accommodating hundreds of guests while maintaining an atmosphere of intimate luxury. The ceiling is supported by massive columns carved to look like papyrus plants, and the walls are decorated with scenes of abundance and celebration that seem to come alive in the flickering light of hundreds of oil lamps. Your evening feast makes your morning breakfast look like a simple snack. The tables are arranged in a carefully planned hierarchy that reflects the social order of your kingdom, with the most important guests seated closest to your elevated platform. The tableware is a display of wealth that would bankrupt small nations: golden plates and cups embedded with precious stones, silverware that gleams like starlight, and serving dishes carved from rare materials like ivory and exotic woods. Each place setting is a work of art that has been crafted specifically for this evening's entertainment. The menu for tonight's banquet reads like a catalog of the ancient world's most exotic delicacies. Roasted peacocks stuffed with rare spices and presented with their magnificent plumage intact. Fish from the Mediterranean that were swimming in the sea just days ago, and meat from wild animals that required dangerous hunting expeditions to obtain. The bread is baked in shapes that represent religious symbols, and the wine has been aged in underground cellars for decades, developing flavors that are literally worth their weight in gold. Your guests arrive in a carefully orchestrated procession that demonstrates the social hierarchy of your kingdom. Provincial governors, high-ranking priests, military commanders, and foreign ambassadors all take their assigned places with the precision of a military formation. Their clothing is itself a form of political communication. The quality of their jewelry, the rarity of their perfumes, and the craftsmanship of their garments all send messages about their wealth, power, and relationship to your throne. The entertainment during the banquet is as elaborate as the food. Musicians play complex harmonies on instruments that have been tuned to mathematical perfection, creating sounds that seem to transport listeners to the realm of the gods. Dancers perform between the courses, their movements telling stories of divine triumph and cosmic harmony. Acrobats demonstrate feats of physical prowess that seem to defy the laws of nature, while storytellers recite epic tales of your glorious deeds and divine ancestry. The political dimensions of your evening banquet are as important as the culinary ones. Seating arrangements communicate royal favor or displeasure, and the order in which guests are served reflects their current standing in your court. A slight change in protocol can signal a shift in alliances, while a casual comment from you can elevate or destroy a courtier's career. Your guests analyze every gesture, every word, every glance for clues about your divine intentions. The foreign ambassadors at your banquet represent kingdoms and empires from across the known world, and their presence transforms your dining hall into an international conference. The Hittite ambassador discusses trade agreements while carefully probing your military intentions. The Nubian representative offers tribute while negotiating for better terms on gold mining rights. The Mesopotamian envoy brings gifts while requesting military support against nomadic raiders. Each conversation is a delicate dance of diplomacy, where every word could influence the balance of power in the ancient world. Your wine consumption during the banquet is both recreational and religious, as the finest vintages are believed to contain divine properties that enhance your godlike wisdom. The wine is served in golden goblets that have been blessed by priests and decorated with symbols that protect against poison. Your cupbearer, a position of enormous trust and responsibility, ensures that each drink is perfectly prepared and completely safe. The wine itself comes from vineyards that produce exclusively for royal consumption, and some bottles are older than your youngest courtiers. Historians still argue whether Egyptian banquets were primarily social events or religious ceremonies, but the evidence suggests they served both functions simultaneously. The elaborate protocols, the symbolic foods, and the ceremonial toasts all reinforce your divine status while providing opportunities for political networking and alliance building. Your evening feast isn't just dinner. It's a carefully orchestrated performance that demonstrates your power, wealth, and divine authority to everyone who matters in your kingdom. The banquet concludes with traditional ceremonies that honor the gods and ensure your continued prosperity. Priests perform rituals that bless the food, the guests, and the palace itself. Incense burns in golden braziers, filling the air with fragrances that transport your soul toward the realm of the gods. As your guests depart, they carry with them memories of an evening that will be talked about for months, reinforcing your reputation as a pharaoh who lives like a god among mortals. As the banquet winds down and your guests begin their carefully orchestrated departure, you prepare for the most sacred part of your day, the evening religious ceremonies that maintain your connection to the divine realm. Your private temple is a sanctuary within your palace, a space so sacred that only the highest-ranking priests and most trusted servants are allowed to enter. The walls are covered with religious texts that have been copied and recopied for centuries, preserving the exact words needed to maintain cosmic balance. Your evening transformation from royal host to divine mediator begins with elaborate purification rituals that cleanse you of the day's earthly contaminations. The priests who assist you have spent decades studying the precise movements, words, and offerings required for these ceremonies. They approach you with the same reverence they would show to any god, because in their minds, that's exactly what you are. The weight of their expectations is both humbling and terrifying. If you make a mistake in these rituals, the consequences could affect the entire kingdom. The temple itself is a masterpiece of sacred architecture, designed to facilitate communication between the earthly and divine realms. The ceiling is painted with star charts that show the nightly journey of the sun god, Ra, through the underworld, and the walls depict your divine ancestors performing the same ceremonies you're about to undertake. Golden statues of the gods watch over the proceedings, their eyes seeming to follow your movements as you prepare for the sacred rites. Your priestly garments are works of art that have been blessed by the highest religious authorities in the kingdom. The linen is so fine, it's almost transparent, and it's been woven with threads of gold and silver that create patterns representing divine protection. The ceremonial crown you wear during these rituals is different from your political regalia. It's specifically designed to channel divine energy and protect your mortal form from the overwhelming power of direct contact with the gods. The evening's first ceremony honors Ra, the sun god, as he begins his nightly journey through the underworld. You perform ancient rituals that have been passed down through generations of pharaohs, speaking words that were old when the pyramids were built. The ceremony includes offerings of precious incense, rare oils, and symbolic foods that represent the abundance of your kingdom. Each gesture has been precisely choreographed to ensure that your prayers reach the gods, and that divine favor continues to flow toward Egypt. The second ceremony is more personal, a private communion with your divine ancestors who have passed into the realm of the gods. You speak directly to the spirits of previous pharaohs, asking for their wisdom and guidance in ruling the kingdom. These conversations aren't just religious exercises, they're practical consultations where you seek advice on political problems, military strategies, and economic policies. The responses you receive come through dreams, omens, and subtle signs that only trained priests can interpret. Your evening prayers include requests for protection against the forces of chaos that threaten your kingdom. The desert demons that could bring drought, the foreign enemies that might invade your borders, and the internal rebellions that could destroy your dynasty. The gods have the power to protect Egypt from these threats, but only if you maintain the proper relationship with the divine realm through these nightly ceremonies. Most mysterious part of your evening rituals involves preparations for your own death and journey to the afterlife. Even though you're in the prime of your reign, you must regularly perform ceremonies that ensure your successful transition to divine immortality. These rituals include reciting spells that will protect your soul in the underworld, making offerings that will provide for your needs in the afterlife, and maintaining the magical protections that will preserve your mummy for eternity. Historians still argue whether pharaohs genuinely believed in the religious aspects of their role, or if the ceremonies were purely political theater designed to maintain popular support. The evidence suggests that most rulers took their divine responsibilities seriously, spending hours each day in prayer and ritual activities that had no obvious political benefits. Your evening ceremonies are exhausting and time-consuming, but they're also essential to maintaining the cosmic balance that keeps your kingdom prosperous and secure. The ceremonies conclude with a final blessing that prepares you for sleep and dreams. The priests anoint your forehead with sacred oils while chanting prayers that will protect your soul during the vulnerable hours of unconsciousness. As you prepare to leave the temple, you feel the weight of divine responsibility settling on your shoulders like a heavy cloak. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new decisions, and new opportunities to prove your worthiness as a living God. You finally retreat to your most private sanctuary, the inner chambers, where even your closest servants are forbidden to enter without explicit permission. These rooms are your true refuge from the overwhelming responsibilities of divine kingship, decorated with personal treasures that reflect your individual tastes rather than political necessities. The walls are covered with artwork that has been chosen for its beauty rather than its propaganda value, and the furniture is arranged for comfort rather than ceremonial display. Your private study is filled with scrolls and tablets that represent the accumulated wisdom of your civilization, maps of distant lands that your armies might one day conquer, astronomical charts that predict the flooding of the Nile, and mathematical treatises that help your engineers design impossible monuments. Some of these documents are so valuable that they're literally worth their weight in gold, containing knowledge that could be lost forever if your palace were destroyed. Your personal library is one of the great treasures of the ancient world, rivaling the famous collections of Alexandria and Babylon. Remember that morning bath with gazelle milk and pearl powder? Well, your evening bathing ritual is even more elaborate, designed to wash away not just the physical dirt of the day, but also the spiritual contamination that comes from dealing with mortal concerns. The water is heated to the perfect temperature and infused with herbs that promote relaxation and divine connection. Your bath attendants work in complete silence, understanding that this is a time for reflection and preparation for the vulnerable hours of sleep. Your private quarters include a workshop where you pursue personal hobbies that have nothing to do with ruling an empire. You might be a skilled craftsman who works with precious metals, creating jewelry and decorative objects that will never be seen by anyone except your most intimate companions. Or perhaps you're a scholar who writes poetry or philosophical treatises that explore the deeper meanings of existence. These private activities provide a crucial outlet for creativity and intellectual stimulation that can't be found in the formal duties of kingship. The selection of your sleeping companions is one of the most delicate and dangerous aspects of your private life. Your wives and concubines aren't just romantic partners, they're political allies whose families and connections could influence the stability of your dynasty. The queen you choose to spend the evening with sends signals about your current political priorities, and the children you father will potentially compete for succession to your throne. Even your most intimate moments are shadowed by the complex calculations of royal politics. Your private chambers contain collections of personal treasures that would be incomprehensible to ordinary mortals. Jewelry that incorporates gems found nowhere else on earth. Artwork created by master craftsmen who devoted their entire lives to perfecting single pieces, and religious objects that are believed to possess actual magical powers. These aren't just possessions, they're extensions of your divine essence, carefully chosen to reflect and enhance your godlike nature. The security arrangements for your private chambers are necessarily elaborate and necessarily secret. Hidden passages allow trusted guards to move through the palace without being seen, and elaborate alarm systems ensure that any intrusion would be immediately detected. Your most private moments are actually your most vulnerable, when assassination attempts are most likely to succeed, and when political enemies might try to gather compromising information. Your evening personal hygiene routine includes treatments that would seem bizarre to modern people, but were essential for maintaining your divine appearance. Crocodile dung mixed with honey as a face mask, ground minerals applied to your teeth for whitening, and exotic oils that are believed to prevent aging. Your personal physicians monitor your health with the same attention that modern doctors give to world leaders, because your physical well-being is literally a matter of national security. Historians still argue whether pharaohs enjoyed genuine privacy, or if their every moment was observed and recorded by servants and guards. The evidence suggests that even your most private activities were subject to protocol and ceremony, making true solitude almost impossible. Your private chambers are more private than your public spaces, but they're still part of the elaborate theater of divine kingship that requires constant performance. The evening's final ritual is the most personal, and perhaps the most important, your private prayers and meditations that prepare your soul for the journey through sleep. Without the elaborate ceremonies and priestly assistance, you commune directly with the gods, seeking guidance for tomorrow's challenges and strength for the endless responsibilities of divine rule. These moments of genuine solitude are precious and rare, providing the spiritual sustenance that makes your impossible life bearable. As you prepare for your nightly journey into the realm of dreams, your bedchamber transforms into a sacred space that bridges the gap between life and death, between the mortal world and the divine realm, where your soul will one day reside permanently. The evening rituals that prepare you for sleep aren't just about rest, they're rehearsals for the ultimate sleep that awaits all mortals, even those who live as gods among men. Your bed, remember that magnificent creation of ebony and gold, becomes an altar where you practice the art of dying well. Your final preparations include the application of protective amulets and the recitation of spells that will guard your soul during the vulnerable hours of unconsciousness. The priests who assist you speak in whispers, their voices barely audible above the gentle sound of palm fronds moving in the evening breeze. They anoint your body with oils that smell like the gardens of paradise, and they place sacred symbols on your chest and forehead that will protect you from the demons that prey on sleeping souls. The linen that covers your divine form isn't just bedding, it's a prototype of the burial wrappings that will one day preserve your mummy for eternity. The fabric is so fine, it feels like flowing water against your skin, and it's been woven with threads of gold and silver that create patterns representing your journey through the underworld. As you settle into your bed, you're not just going to sleep, you're practicing for the eternal rest that will transform you from a living god into an immortal deity. Your dreams, when they come, are believed to be direct communications from the divine realm. The gods speak to you through visions and symbols that trained priests will interpret in the morning, providing guidance for your reign and warnings about potential dangers. Sometimes your dreams are prophetic, showing you events that will unfold in the future. Other times, they're instructional, teaching you the secrets of divine wisdom that can only be learned during the mystical state of sleep. The palace around you settles into its own rhythm of nighttime activity. Guards patrol the corridors with soft-soled sandals, their presence ensuring your safety while respecting the sacred nature of your rest. Servants maintain the oil lamps that provide gentle illumination throughout the night, and priests continue their own rituals in the palace temple, sending prayers and protective spells toward your sleeping form. Even in sleep, you remain the center of a complex web of activity dedicated to preserving your divine essence. Your breathing gradually slows and deepens, each exhale carrying away the tensions and worries of ruling an empire. The weight of the double crown, the burden of making decisions that affect millions of lives, the constant pressure of maintaining divine perfection, all of these responsibilities fade as you drift toward the realm of dreams. For a few precious hours, you can simply be a soul at rest, free from the overwhelming duties of godhood. The night air carries the scent of lotus blossoms from the palace gardens, mixed with the faint aroma of frankincense from the temple ceremonies. These fragrances transport your consciousness toward the divine realm, where your soul will eventually reside after your mortal form has been transformed into an eternal mummy. The boundary between sleep and death becomes blurred, and you find yourself floating in a space that exists between the world of the living and the realm of the gods. As your awareness fades, you're dimly conscious of the vast empire that surrounds your sleeping form. Millions of subjects sleep under the same stars, their dreams perhaps filled with images of their divine pharaoh. Your name is spoken in prayers throughout the kingdom, and your divine protection extends over every village, every farm, every temple in the land. Even in sleep, you remain the spiritual center of an entire civilization. The darkness that embraces you is not empty. It's filled with the presence of your divine ancestors, the spirits of previous pharaohs who have successfully made the transition from mortal rulers to eternal gods. They welcome you into their realm, sharing their wisdom and preparing you for the challenges that await in the morning. Your sleep becomes a form of communion with the divine, a nightly renewal of your cosmic authority. Your final conscious thought is a prayer of gratitude for the extraordinary life you've been granted. To live as a god among mortals, to wield power that spans continents, to build monuments that will endure for millennia. These are privileges that few souls ever experience. As sleep finally claims you completely, you surrender to the eternal rhythms that govern all existence, knowing that you will wake tomorrow to face another day of divine responsibility. The palace grows quiet around your sleeping form, but the energy of your presence continues to radiate through the corridors and chambers. Your divine essence doesn't sleep, it simply takes on a different form, watching over your kingdom while your mortal consciousness rests. And in this perfect balance between human vulnerability and divine power, you find the peace that makes your impossible life not just bearable, but magnificent. Let these images of ancient splendor carry you gently into your own dreams, where you too can experience the grandeur of living like a god, if only for a few hours of blessed sleep. Rest well, knowing that somewhere in the mists of time, Pharaohs once slept in chambers of gold and dreamed of eternal glory.